want to start by saying that I've been working on this YouTube channel for many years, and I'm glad to see a video with such great interest. Currently, over 1,900 people have watched, and if you haven't seen the video that we're referring to, I'm going to put it in the tab so that it should pop up right now. So if you want to go watch that video before we get into our discussion, you can do that. But the comments are buzzing, and at Russell McCain 7863 said, "I'd be interested in what he has to say. I'll bet he's a gracious person, and yes, speaking about Brett Valliant." Did I pronounce that right, Brett? Is it Brett Valliant?
Yeah, that's right. You got it.
And Russell is correct. You are very gracious in that you have taken the time to talk to me and respond to some of the comments. Thank you for being here today.
Glad to. Yes, sure.
Well, as somebody who's performed in front of crowds for many years, I am sympathetic to the perception of the performance from the best seat in the house, right between the speakers on center stage. And so many questions have come up, and there's some interest in your perspective from the audience. So before we get into that, I want to read from your bio, which I'll put up on the screen here from the Organ Stop Pizza brochure here. And so for those of you unaware of Brett's work, he has been playing the piano since age 4, and feel free to jump in if I get anything wrong on this. He's been playing professionally at Wichita State University and began performing at age 11, and by 15 was on tour around the United States. Brett has played in Europe, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and has played for the American Theater Organ Society and the American Guild of Organists. Brett officially joined the staff at Organ Stop Pizza in 2015 and enjoys ice skating, roller skating, animals, and classic rock and roll. So that all being said, is there anything you want to add to your bio?
I think that covers quite a bit. Yeah, that's good.
I assume you wrote that for the pamphlet and submitted it.
No, I really didn't. They asked me a couple of questions, but I've known the owners for, I don't know, going on 20 years. So they put it together on their own.
Now, we were talking a little bit before the camera turned on, and before I get into the questions that I had prepared, we were talking about the organ was originally in Denver. And so you said that you've known them for 20 years. Does that mean that they moved the organ to Mesa in 20 years ago? Is that the new ownership did that? Or
No. They moved the organ to Mesa about 50 years ago.
50.
50. Long before I was born. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So as long as you've known it, it's always been there. Gotcha. Cool.
Yes.
Okay.
The current location was built in 1995. The previous location was built back in the early 70s.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. And so you said that it has how many pipes now?
6,000.
6,000. And they tune it twice a year.
Yeah. They tune every pipe twice a year. And then every week we touch up a pipe here and there that might have gone out of tune. So it gets a lot of attention all year long.
So how did you get to play the largest theater organ? You started out as a child. What made you want to perform, and how did you accomplish so much by a young age?
Well, I started playing at Organ Stop, I don't know, about 15 or 16 years ago when they needed a fill-in. It was kind of an emergency, and one of the organists at that time said, well, there's this guy up in Kansas, which is where I came from. And so I started commuting back and forth, filling in for them for a lot of years until 4 years ago when I moved here to play full time. So
that's a long commute.
Yeah. But there's just so few people who play these instruments these days. So
according to the brochure, there's one other featured artist and three maybe of the people that are guests artists. So how often do you play there?
I play 4 nights a week, Saturday through Tuesday generally. Occasionally my colleague and I switch dates around, but I'm generally there Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Do you have other musically talented people in your family, or are you the performer of the family?
Yeah, none. Well, I have some extended relatives who sing and play guitar and that kind of thing. As far as, I grew up playing classical music and then jazz and then pop, and so as far as what I do, not really.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm about the only performer in the family. So, well, with 1,900 views on the video, if we put 1,900 people in the same room, that would certainly be an awesome sight to see. The largest crowd that I've personally performed for was at a festival, about 400. What's the largest crowd that you've performed for?
Between 5,000 and 6,000. A couple of venues that were large and full. And then, I mean, that's not counting like television, which is of course larger than that, but live between 5,000 and 6,000.
So you've performed on TV as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, because even here we're on television on a regular basis here in Arizona, and then I've been on television programs in other countries and all over the U.S.
So you spoke about some of the larger venues. What is your favorite venue? Obviously, you work for Organ Stop, so maybe besides Organ Stop as your favorite, what would be your favorite venue that you performed at, and what made it special?
That's a really hard question to answer because there are so many different kinds of venues. I played a few months ago in out in the LA area in El Segundo in a tiny little theater, an old 1920s theater with a terrific instrument. And when I say it was sold out, that might have been, I don't know, 250 people or something like that. Very small, very intimate, where it was super easy to have a rapport with the audience. That's wonderful. I've also played in places where there's thousands of people scattered across a couple acres or something, and you don't have that kind of intimate setting and communication with the audience. So, but as far as picking one venue, I don't even know that I could.
No, that's great. Yeah, of course. I mean, venues tend to be very unique, and I've been to 250 venues, and mostly wedding venues, right? And so, could I pick out one that was my favorite? It would definitely be a very challenging one. So, I thank you for your candor on that. Who's your biggest inspiration in life, and also who's your biggest inspiration in music?
My biggest inspiration in life, I mean, is probably the people who, when I was growing up, the musicians who I looked up to, and some of those people ended up being teachers of mine along the way, and so that kind of covers the musical side of things as well. But yeah, definitely my mentors and my music teachers for sure.
Not Mozart, huh? Or no, I'm sorry. It was
No,
Peter Tchaikovsky, right?
no, I mean, it's like I love the composers, but it's people that I've known one-on-one in my lifetime for sure.
For me, my fondest memory of organ would be as a Penguins fan. We would go to the arena, or I would watch it on TV, and you'd hear the organist really hype the crowd up. And so I think there's a lot of hockey fans out there. I noticed that you're a big ice skating guy yourself.
Mhm.
So have you played organ at a hockey game, or do you one day hope to play organ at a hockey game?
No, I've been to one hockey game in my life. I see it on TV, but live, I've been to one. I skate 5 days a week. And what I see the hockey players doing on skates is nothing. It's another world from what I do.
Sure.
And I have two friends who play for professional hockey teams, and occasionally they'll post videos on social media of them while they're playing for a game, and I have no idea what they're doing or why they're doing it. I watch it and I'm like, well, that's cool, like it's it's another world. Yeah.
Well, I'm currently living in Cincinnati, Ohio, and they don't have a
Oh,
professional
yeah.
hockey team here. And, people ask me, do I like living in Cincinnati? I said, well, I do miss my Penguins. And more than that, I miss being around hockey fans. So if you don't get it, you don't get it. I understand that.
Mhm.
I live with a population that doesn't get it. So it's fine. No big deal. But that was
I
one of
enjoy
my personal
hockey. I
questions.
just, yeah, as far as
That was
playing
one
the
of my
organ person,
personal
I don't know.
questions. I wanted to ask about that one because that one's, like I said, from my youngest memories of the organ. So,
Mhm.
okay, so Helen Herbert 7127 says that she would like to have seen one of the practice sessions without a rude audience instead. And I'm going to
Mhm.
ask you about that part of it with the audience question. But what are rehearsals like? Do you have an opportunity to rehearse, or
Mhm.
do you just play what you know?
For me, rehearsing comes in different chunks of time. So, like we're coming into the busy winter season. I'll be playing 9 and 10 hour days, and on my days off, you will not find me anywhere near a keyboard of any kind. Um, and then summertime will come. Schedule will be a little lighter. Maybe play only 5 hours a day or something. And that's when, I pull out things and start learning other music, practicing, rehearsing.
What are you
But
working
I've
on
had
right
the
now?
absolutely nothing. We're in winter, and I can
Yeah.
assure you there is nothing, nothing being learned. Um, the thing is, I've had friends over the years say, "Oh, I want to come in and listen to you practice or whatever," and I'm fine, but it won't be fun. And they don't believe me until they get there, and I'm like dissecting pieces, playing one note at a time, learning one thing at a. And they realize, oh, this is like watching paint dry. So they don't,
For
they
those
don't
of
have too
us
much
with the
fun with that.
creative gene, if you have the creative gene, you know that it could be torturous.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
what
I,
was
I
the
think
guy?
I think what she was getting at though is she just wants to hear me play without the crowd noise, and that I can understand.
Well, my dad showed me a video from the first time they went to Oregon stuff. They've lived in Arizona for 15 years. And so he
Mhm.
showed me a video for the first time he was at Oregon stuff. It was like a Monday night, And I have a question later on about what time it would be good. So we'll talk about that here in a moment. But as far as since you don't spend a ton of time rehearsing during the winter months and you don't really have a whole lot of opportunity to spend time in front of the keyboard because you are working a grueling schedule. So who does choose the songs for Organ Stop? My dad, his comment to me was, well, he should have started with the Star Wars one and saved the Nutcracker for later. So, do you choose the order of the songs? Do you get to
Mhm.
choose what songs are played, or how does that work?
We have request cards, so the audience decides most of the program. And a lot of it is predictable, like Star Wars and things like that. Or Phantom of the Opera, people are going to request that. And that's going to be part of the evening before you ever get to the restaurant. Um, but as far as the actual order of everything, I do. So, like for instance, starting with the Nutcracker, because during the Christmas season, we always start and end the sets with Christmas music. So if I'm going to play Star Wars, it'll happen at another time, that kind of thing.
I feel like the younger audience today are all Disney and that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
what are your biggest requests? What's your number one request right now?
Number one request is Phantom of the Opera. Number two would probably be Under the Sea, maybe tied with Star Wars. Those are the three biggies, and then Let It Go from Frozen.
Frozen. That's the
You
one I
know,
was thinking. I mean, honestly,
yeah,
as somebody who does a lot of family-friendly events and weddings and anniversaries and that stuff, if the kids are there, they're going to want Frozen. So,
yeah.
uh,
It's
you,
amazing because I forget how many years it's been out now, and I thought that it would sort of uh, well, not die away, but like I thought it would the popularity would lessen as the years go by, and it just hasn't. It just
it's got
hangs
some
on.
staying power. It's a good song. I
Yep.
really like it personally. Okay, when you add a new song to the program at home, so you talked a little bit about this. adding a new song. So you said you do practice at home. Do you just then, because obviously it's going to be different when you're playing on your 88 keys at home than when you have how many keys on the organ?
A lot.
Yeah.
Four
Yeah, more than
keyboards of
88.
88 of
Yeah.
61 and 32 pedals, and yeah.
So do you rehearse? So you practiced it at home a couple of times. Do you rehearse it in front of the audience, or on Monday, Tuesday night, and then Friday when the bigger crowds come in? That's when you're playing it live, or do you have time to practice it whenever you do want a new song?
Yeah, I mean, usually I'll work on it a little bit at home, and then by that point, I know it well enough that I can play it in front of an audience acceptably. I mean, I'll iron things out as time goes by, but usually you have a good enough feel for it. You can pull it off with the audience at that point, unless it's something super intricate. Then I go in after hours and work on it on that instrument alone. Um, so it just kind of depends on what it is.
Well, obviously you have a lot of familiarity with the organ that in the theater, so you
Mhm.
probably practice it at home. You're imagining, where you're going to feel it out when you get there, and then you try it
Yeah.
once, and if it doesn't sound right, then you make adjustments as you go. But I can
Mhm.
imagine that because you run the. Tell us a little bit about the organs. You run the drums, you run the xylophones.
Everything but the kitchen, the lights, everything.
Everything with the kids. I like that answer. Actually, I
Yeah.
have a comment from a viewer. The comment section, very complimentary towards your work. So reading through the comments is always an interesting. As a creator, most of my work on YouTube also features me in it. So this is kind of an interesting one where I'm trying to put myself into your shoes and trying to understand how you receive the crowd. Obviously, this recording is dated the 22nd of December, I think, which was a Saturday night, the day before, weekend before Christmas. And so you had probably a more rowdy than normal crowd. At Mark Netzel House, 4376 says, wonderful performance, but would have been nice if the audience could just have stopped talking and listened for a change. I've seen the video of the inner workings of this organ, and it's amazing to say the least. So that being said, if people are interested in coming to Organ Stop, what would be a good night to beat the crowd or to get the best seats? Should we get there by 4 o'clock? Should we be there on a Monday? When do you have your most attentive audiences?
Yeah, it's going to be Monday through Thursday,
Okay.
and uh, I'm always amazed when I drive into the parking lot at opening time, and I see the line, wrapped around the parking lot of people waiting to get in at 3:30 or whatever, or 3 o'clock, and I always think, wow, this many people out for dinner at 3 o'clock. We're so busy from opening time until about 7 o'clock. And, if it were me, I would go in at about 7 o'clock because we have a huge drop off in the audience at that point, and things get a lot, easier to find seating and obviously you can hear better if you don't want as much crowd noise.
Yeah, no, and plus that was the first song of a set. How long? How many songs are in a set? Do you
Depending
play for an
on
hour typically, or
Well, the set can either be 45 minutes with 15 minutes off for the hour, or we'll play 30 minutes on, 10 minutes off, 30 minutes on, 10 minutes off. So
okay?
it depends on the night and what schedule we're on. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, when I first got there, we ordered the pizza, and there was I don't. I assume it was you. I don't know because I couldn't. I was at Morgan Stop for the first time myself, and I'm like, how do I even find the bathroom in this place? And
Mhm.
so my dad and my mom had been there before. They were trying to help me to find my way through. What kind of pizza do you want, whatever. And so I'm trying to take everything in. Somebody was finishing up a performance, and then it seemed like about a 15-minute break. So then you come up out of the stage and I start recording, and I got the recording that I did. At the end of the recording, you started doing happy birthdays and some crowd work as well.
Mhm.
So perhaps, I don't know because I didn't stay for the entire show, but what was the audience like after you did your crowd work with the microphone? Did you have more people that were engaged with the music, or do you just play and you don't really think about it when you're playing?
On a Saturday night like that, when there's 750 people crammed in there, and most of the people are there for a birthday party or a family reunion, whatever. We have lots of large groups. At that point, you're gonna be background. So it's different on, say, a Tuesday night. You have a different crowd there. You have smaller groups of people that are actually there to listen to the performance, that kind of thing.
Weddings are my bread and butter. So Saturday, Friday, Saturday, yeah. I'm familiar with, hey, everybody, turn your attention to the double doors to my right and make some noise for the bride and groom.
Yeah.
And trying to control the crowd on a Saturday night. But I've also done karaoke performances on a Tuesday with wings and beer and pizza. So, I enjoy all of my audiences. Anybody who
Yeah.
wants to come out and be a part of the show, whether I'm the star of the attraction or, like you said, if I'm background noise.
Mhm.
And there's days when I wake up and I'm like, man, I wish that I had a karaoke group tonight. And then there's days when I wake up and I say, man, I wish I could have a wedding today. But I do have a love of weddings, and that would definitely be what I say is my favorite group to play. Do you have a favorite group to play for? Or do you like the audiences where you can hear a pin drop? Or do you like the rowdy and fun crowd of a birthday party on a Saturday night?
I think what you just said, I can totally relate to, with there being some days when you're just in the mood for one type of audience, or some days you're in the mood for another type of, let's say, an atmosphere, and so it just kind of depends on the day and whatever. I just always feel like as long as people are having a good time, then I'm happy. If there's so much noise in the room because they're all having fun, then it's like, well, they're having fun, so it's good.
As far as making a video is concerned, probably not my best work as a videographer. So probably speaks more to me as a videographer. If that's what I was on vacation, I took a video of something I thought was interesting. I
Right?
don't like to incur storage fees, right? Everybody's got a thumb drive or a external hard drive. If I want to store my memories, I put them on YouTube because YouTube gives me free storage. And wow, all these people decided to start watching it. I was like, okay. So maybe a proper introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, hold your conversations and turn your attention to the stage.
Mhm.
Put your hands together for our featured performer tonight, Brett Valliant.
Mhm.
So if we were going to do a more proper video, maybe having an MC there. Have you worked with MCs in the past? And
We used to have a greeting at organ stop at the beginning of the sets. It made no
okay,
difference. It
okay,
made no difference.
gotcha,
So they stopped doing it,
gotcha.
which is fine, because it was weird. It was welcome to Organ Stop Pizza, and introduce the organist and all this stuff, and the crowd noise just like never changed. Well, and we
But
do all day long. We do private lunch
oh,
gatherings during the
oh,
daytime.
really? Okay.
Yep.
Tell me more about that. So you do
Yeah.
perform, because what I was seeing on the website, I think it said between 4 and 9:30.
Yeah, that's just our public evening hours, and then we
Okay.
have private lunch groups in the daytime. And so you can we have lots of we have corporate events, tour groups, birthday parties, weddings, funerals. I mean, you name it, anything.
Okay. So
And those are very different. Those are a completely different atmosphere in there, of course. we do a tour through like the whole instrument during those lunchtime things where we explain the whole instrument and everything that's happening. And that's kind of cool too for people to understand what's going on up there.
So people can go to organstoppizza.com and get more information about those types of bookings if they're interested in doing a private, rather than going to a practice session like one of our commenters had mentioned earlier. You can just book a private event. Perfect. Well, I was going to ask you a little later on about where we can see other performances from you, so we can answer that maybe in a little bit more depth there. But we also had some people wondering about the organ itself. At Alan Nash at 5870 said, "How many pipes are there with this organ?" And even John Doe 1411 says, "It seems like there's too many distractions, like an amusement park, around it. Did somebody just build this place to build a pointless record?" So speak a little bit about the organ itself. How did they get the record? What criterion was used? Is it the number of pipes? Is it the square footage? How did they come up with that?
Yeah, so the organ, when it was originally built in 1927 for the Denver Theater, was a medium-sized theater organ for those days. And then when it came to Mesa, over the course of 5 decades, it has been expanded with other Wurlitzer pipes, Wurlitzer percussions, all the same kind of things, just from other organs, and things have been added to it. And so by 1995, when they built the current building, of course they built the building for the organ, and the whole concept is that there's stuff to look at everywhere you look. There's percussions all over the ceiling. There's just something for all of the senses in there, and that's the whole concept. You can see everything. You can obviously hear everything.
My first job volunteering, working in a church as a camera operator for a 6,500 person theater for the church services. One of the things that we tried to focus on was having many cameras with many camera angles rather than trying to pan left and right. So maybe the reason that John Doe is because I had single point of view and I was trying to capture the entire environment. So I kept moving the camera around. So maybe he just was distracted by my camera work. Being in the room itself, there is a lot to look at, but it's very easy to see it all at once. And you said that you're in control of all of it. So I think I remember seeing some puppets on the wall. Were you in control of those ones as well?
Yeah, the alley cats. They've been up there dancing for eons. There's people who grew up with them, who now bring their grandkids in to see them. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we have lots of requests for people to see the cats.
Do you go after the performances? Do you have any interactions with the audience members, or are they already gone by the time you're done for the night?
When I go out during breaks and stuff, walk through the dining room or whatever, I usually.
Oh, you're the guy from the stage. I know you. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So you interact with people out in the dining room. So yeah.
Sometimes I'll go during cocktail hour at the weddings, and I'll start planting the seeds. I'll walk, over to the cheese and meat tray, and people will be concentrated on it. I'll go, "I heard this DJ's amazing." They go, "Yeah, I heard he's really good." But then they turn around and go, "Wait, that's you." Okay, anyhow, back to our conversation here. Bruce Bauer, 8133 says, "This video should be removed for copyright violation. It was obviously filmed without the permission at Oregon Stop Pizza in Mesa, Arizona. Of course, the audience is noisy. They're eating dinner. Official videos from the establishment are available for purchase at the gift shop. Meanwhile, at the Naturalist, ratioed them and got more thumbs up, stating, 'Yeah, all we need is more copyright police and people with too much time and bees in their bonnets to remind us of it.' Jesus. So what is the Oregon Stop policy on videography and photography? Are people allowed to take videos and pictures of the organ? Are they allowed to share them on the internet?
Well, let me just first say that I don't honestly know the official current policy, but I can tell you this. Out in the lobby in two places, there are big signs with all of on either side of the lobby. There's a big sign listing all of the house rules. Now, these house rules were posted in 1995 when the building was
Okay.
built, and one of those rules is about any kind of recording is prohibited. However, when I'm on stage and I turn around and I see the whole place littered with all these cameras lit up filming it, and then you go on YouTube once you get home that evening and your feed is full of videos from Organ Stop Pizza. People are recording constantly. I do know that our PR person always reminds that it's free publicity when people take
That's right.
films and they post it to YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So yeah, I can't imagine anybody's really policing that at this point, because most people are making recordings at some point when they're there.
Yeah, I mean, that was exactly, when I first read that comment, my dad goes, "Oh, they should be thanking you. They got 1,900 eyes that might not have known that the place existed." And I said, "Yeah, but, I still better ask Brett." And so that's when I sent you a message. And I'm like, "Yeah, what are your thoughts on this?"
Mhm.
And, as an artist, if I thought a performance was less than stellar, I would say, yeah, let's re-record it, or let's do something to make it better. I wouldn't necessarily, I remember the first time that somebody recorded me and I was like, "What are you doing? Why are you recording me?" My PR person at the time said, "You got to remember that they're going to go show everybody at their work on Monday this video that check out this place that I was on a Saturday night." So that makes perfect sense to me. At the Alchemist 9025 says, "Terrible audio. Don't waste your time." Which I replied, "Well, go see the show the next time you're in Phoenix." Or I live
There
in
you go.
Cincinnati, so Phoenix and Mesa are the same place to me. I don't know the difference, right?
Yeah, right.
And
It's
so right there, right? Yeah, so uh, Sky Harbor, right? Next time you fly into Sky Harbor, stop
right.
by and go see a show yourself. That was my reply to them. If you want the best audio, that's the best place that I personally know. But tell me, where can other people see your other professional recordings? You said you were on TV,
Mhm.
and if somebody wanted to see your work at other organs, or do you have your own YouTube or your own TikTok?
Mhm.
How do you share your work?
I mean, I have three professional recordings, although I think all but one are sold out at the moment. And at the rate in which people are buying CDs today, uh, I'm not super eager or rushing out to order new ones. But YouTube is, I think for this kind of thing is the place. If you just did a search on YouTube for Brett Valliant, you'll come up with all kinds of stuff. The people who want to hear the organ at Organ Stop with no one in there, you'll see plenty of video footage on there. I've done even concerts in there that during COVID that were virtual performances, not a soul in the restaurant.
Wow.
And you can see me play up close. You can hear everything, no crowd noise. All of that's available on YouTube just by typing in my name. It'll come right up.
Okay,
Mhm.
great. And so obviously, if you want to hear the world's largest theater organ, the best place to do that is in Mesa, Arizona. I will say that I've got an Italian half of my family, so I am critical of pizza. I'm critical of all Italian foods. And so we enjoyed, finished all the pizza in one sitting. It was very good food. Salad bar was great. My mom loves it. So go to Organ Stop Pizza, and we'll see you out there.